be here either Saturday, Sunday then. Eh?
Oh.
You know that weed killer? Proper fucking weed killer. Problem is, cat, when I spray it, you won't be able to go out. Well, oh, you want your dinner? I'm very sorry, baby. Yeah, I apologise. You want to wash your dish now? Yeah. You get sponge. Spongy. Yeah. And you wash your dish. Get your dinner. Kind of dinner do you want? You have fish in the day, meat in the evening. You know some fish? You like a bit of fish? Eh? You want to see how many dinners you got? Look at all your boxes of food. Look at all your dinners. That's all yours. Look at all your dinners. Very sensible. Ooh, we're having fish today. Fish, fish, fish. What have we got? Cod, cod, salmon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll do that. Cod. Cod. Yeah? Yeah? Ready for dinner. Dog could be dinner. Yes. Good girl. There you go. And then we've got to do your tray. Get rid of some ratatouille and all about it. Eh? We'll get rid of it all. We'll fucking get rid of it. Food up. That nice? What are you getting it?
The ferocity of the Nazis' assault on the country's northern border is relentless.
En zij blinkt uit in spinnen. En dat is lekker Hollands. Maar zij ook, bij Bad City. Wie je ook bent, waar je ook van houdt. Natuurlijk is Bad City het online casino voor jou.
Huh?
In the 1990s, Colin Ireland would terrorise London's gay community.
It is one of the most horrific and demanding murder inquiries for years.
Over 3 months, 5 innocent men would die at the hands of this cold and calculating killer.
He said the man he'd killed was gay.
Why are you doing this?
Colin Ireland would be christened the Gay Slayer and had set himself a unique goal.
He makes a New Year's resolution to himself that he's going to become a serial killer.
Ireland would snuff out the lives of his unsuspecting victims in a series of cruel and bizarre crimes.
The scene that makes there is just one of horror. Never seen anything like it before or since.
So was the Gay Slayer made into a monster, or was he born to kill?
I'm probably 60-70% quite a reasonable human being most of the time. But there is that side of my character that is negative, it's quite cold and calculating.
This is the confession of Colin Ireland.
I strangled him, I had a bit of cord.
In 1993, he would take the lives of 5 men in a killing spree that frustrated police and struck fear into London's gay community.
Your advice to the gay community tonight?
Yes, quite simple. Be careful. Don't pick up a stranger. Don't go out on one-night stands. It's dangerous. You could be next.
The methods and motives for his evil actions would not be revealed until this frank and disturbing interview.
I went and got a plastic bag from the kitchen, carrier pack, and I stuck it over his head.
Ireland's life and crimes give us a unique insight into the mind of a serial killer and the 40-year journey that led him to make the cruelest of New Year's resolutions.
There's a destructive element to it that is highly destructive, highly cold. We're very cold, and I think in some moods I'm quite happy to burn the world down if possible.
Colin Ireland was born on March the 16th, 1954, and from day one his life would be full of disappointment and failure. Colin Ireland's father wanted no part in bringing up a child and left before he was even born.
Ireland never knew his biological father, and I think that's quite an important thing to note, because we have to remember what England was like in the early 1950s, where that kind of birth out of wedlock would be regarded very badly by the local community.
His 17-year-old mother was left with no money and no choice but to move back in with her parents in Myrtle Road, Dartford.
His mother was a very poor person,
on a number of occasions, Ireland's mother would move him in the hope that she would be able to settle with him in other accommodation.
She appeared to be very much into wanting to give him something that was good, wanting to make things good for him, but it didn't work out.
Colin Ireland's formative years were an unhappy time, filled with extreme hardship, upheaval and poverty. Rent problems would sometimes lead to sudden moves.
I think he was probably really hurt by it. I'm sure any child would be, coming home from school and finding that their home is no longer their home and their mother has moved off somewhere.
So we've got a young man whose pattern of early life is characterised by movement, disruption and an anxiety that somehow he doesn't quite fit in and that there are people talking about him.
In 1970, at the age of 16, Ireland fled to London, where he began to hang around at an amusement arcade with an unsavoury reputation.
We now know this is a particularly disreputable amusement arcade because it's targeted and frequented by paedophiles who will particularly target young boys. What I think we begin to see is Ireland's association with sexual subcultures.
Most serial killers, men who kill men, are themselves gay. Most heterosexual serial killers kill women. What often happens in a case like this is that Ireland himself may be homosexual or may have a strong aspect of homosexuality to his personality, but can't accept it. He doesn't want to accept that. And so there's a part of him that he hates. And by killing others, he's sort of reassuring himself that he's not gay, that's not part of his personality.
Ireland's later teens were also to prove turbulent, and he began racking up an impressive criminal record, spending many periods in and out of both Borstal and prison.
I think he had a list of about 50 or 30 court appearances, all relatively minor offences to begin with. TDA, burglary, deception. He wasn't your GBH merchant, he wasn't your rapist, he wasn't your armed robber.
In between stints of incarceration, Ireland tries his hand at various jobs, but none lasted. One in particular, though, would yet again provide Ireland with a vital key to a specific community later on in life.
I believe he was a bouncer on a gay club in one job.
It's almost impossible to determine whether or not he himself was gay. What matters is Ireland's understanding of a number of gay sexual subcultures.
It was around 1981 when Colin met his first wife, and whilst he was working as a security guard, he befriended fellow worker Colin Brown.
He was a biggish guy and that. He seemed pretty quiet. Then once we got to know each other, then he started chatting and everything. And that was when I started going to his flat in Holloway. Colin's wife was in a wheelchair, Victoria. He seemed like he dozed over and that, you know what I mean? He couldn't do enough for her. When I went there, it was a pleasant home life, you know what I mean?
I think it's quite interesting that his first wife is disabled and he instead can dominate her because he's providing a caring service as he would see it.
Ireland had seemingly got his life on track and was doing all he could to be a respected member of the community.
He and another man would patrol the local area where they were living.
We would go out late in the evening and we would have a torch and that, and if there was anything that we saw that maybe wasn't toward, we would report it to the local police.
There's always this sense of a kind of perverted moral hierarchy, a desire to be someone in a community, and of course performing the role as an informal neighbourhood patrol officer would give Ireland that sense of paying something back, that sense of having some standing.
Nevertheless, the harmonious, respectable life Ireland had constructed for himself crumbled just 5 years later, after he was caught having an affair. But no one could foresee the tragic and brutal consequences of Colin Ireland's turbulent youth, criminal career, and brushes with London's gay community. In 1993, Colin Ireland would take the lives of 5 innocent gay men. But what was his motive for murder? Was the man who became known as the Gay Slayer born to kill? Ireland had an unstable childhood and a failed marriage. Then in 1989, on a survival weekend in Devon, he meets his second wife-to-be, Janet Young.
I first met Colin Ireland when I owned the Globe Inn pub where I live, and he came in as a customer. He stood in the doorway, dressed in camouflage, very impressive figure. The conversation just stopped dead in the pub as he came in the door.
Janet quickly falls for the stranger, although not everybody is immediately so keen on him.
My barmaid at the time, she didn't like him at all. She warned me off him right from the word go. She said, no, there's something not right. But I didn't feel that. I felt he was ideal for me in my situation, so he gradually moved in.
The customers didn't warm to Colin behind the bar, and neither did he feel happy serving them.
He hated being behind the bar. He wasn't really a very good mixer, although he was friendly. I think people in the pub found him a little bit scary because he was a very tall, big man. He was with me for about 3 months before he asked me to marry him. I wasn't sure that I wanted to get married, but he said, if we don't trust one another, then what's the point of being together? We had a small reception and a really fun day. He'd fitted in really well. My children were prepared to accept him being there. He liked being with them. I think it made him feel accepted and normal.
However, 4 months into the marriage, he proves that everything is far from normal. Ireland drives Janet and the kids to her mother's home for the weekend. They would never see each other again.
Ireland conforms to a classic psychopath, always taking from somebody what he needs to have so as to continue in the lifestyle that he wants.
I feel that certain sides of my character, not all of me by any means, I mean I'm probably 60-70% quite a reasonable human being most of the time. But there is that side of my character that is negative, it's quite cold and calculating.
Ireland now has Janet and the kids safely out of the way.
Ireland will go back to the pub and take money from the pub, enough to set himself up again.
I was just shocked. I didn't know what had happened to him. I thought he'd been killed, run over, in hospital, arrested.
With over £10,000 of Janet's cash and their wedding photo album, Colin abandons her and his life behind the bar of the Globe Inn.
I realised he was probably just a con man all along, and I fell for it, and he was just looking for his opportunity to get what he could and go.
Travelling to Southend-on-Sea, Ireland once again begins to build a new life for himself. In 1991, he applies to be a volunteer at a local homeless shelter.
The moment Colin arrived at the night shelter as a volunteer, I do remember, because he was a very, very large man, and he stood in the doorway and just advised me that he'd been sent by another agency. He was very passionate about the work that he did, probably more passionate than any of the other volunteers he had. And he genuinely felt that he was paying society back after having behaved in various ways that he himself admitted were not very good.
For almost 6 months, life at the shelter seemed to be providing Ireland with all he needed to lead a fulfilled existence. But true to form, it wasn't to last.
Colin was a very calm person, but he was also a person that you felt immediately that you wouldn't want to upset.
Other volunteers don't like his manner, find him quite overbearing, find him frightening.
Volunteers and Ireland remain at loggerheads over the coming months, until one final incident seals his fate.
The assistant manager came to me and felt that Colin's behaviour on occasions wasn't appropriate, and she was rather concerned about this. That matter was taken to the committee, and they decided then that it probably would be a good idea to let Colin go. He felt that his dismissal was unfair and unjustified. He also felt that he had given back something to society, and basically that hadn't been recognised.
Once again, he finds himself rejected and on the fringes of society. For Colin Ireland, it's the final straw.
I believe that getting dismissed from the night shelter was crucial to his future. It was an absolutely crucial part of what happened to him and why he went on to do what he did.
To become the somebody he's always craved to be, Ireland will have to try a different tack.
He had read a book written by Robert Ressler called Whoever Fights Monsters, and therefore Ireland says he's going to become famous. He's going to become a somebody in the community. At that point, he makes a New Year's resolution to himself that he's going to become a serial killer.
On the 8th of March 1993, Colin Ireland arrives at the Colhern pub. Tonight he will begin his campaign of violence. Back in the early 90s, the Colhern was hugely popular with the gay community, and in particular the centre of a thriving S&M scene.
Colhern, back in the early 1990s, of an evening would be absolutely heaving. And you'd have people in here, clientele, who would identify whichever sexual proclivity was to their taste, which made targeting by Colin Ireland extremely easy.
There were a whole series of signals. If you were into this, you'd wear this color handkerchief. If you were into that, you'd wear another one. If you had it in one pocket or another.
Most heterosexual men would feel uncomfortable going into a gay bar and speaking to someone who is gay, getting them to come with you. You would have to have some degree of comfort or experience in doing that.
And so it's his understanding of that subculture which gives him the passport to enter areas in London which were quite secret. And it's his understanding of that, having that passport, which allows him to kill repeatedly, time after time.
In a unique insight into a serial killer's mind, Colin Ireland explains during his police confession how the horrific events unfolded that evening when he killed and tortured his innocent victim.
I went to Colhern that evening. I felt if I was approached by one of that group type that tended to trigger these things in me, these masochistic men, I felt that time, I felt there was a likelihood that I would kill.
It's not long before Ireland is approached by theatre director Peter Walker. They strike up a conversation and travel back to Walker's flat together.
I went into the flat and I downed him tied him to the bed.
Before killing Peter Walker, Ireland demands money from his now helpless victim, forcing Walker to reveal his bank card and PIN number by burning his testicles with a lighter.
I went and got a plastic bag from the kitchen, carrier pack, and I stuck it over his head.
As dawn approached, Colin Ireland left Walker's flat, withdrew £200 from a cash machine, and returned to his life in Southend.
Ireland was looking forward.
I
hope you're well, Patrick. Oh, great. Marvellous. Okay. Just got a lot of tests to have done. Not sure what's going to happen, but there you go. So that wasn't meant to be there. It was meant to be there. bottom piece puzzle.
Hey? Hey, Patrick. Oh, you have filled a bit in. Ooh. Told you it had a touchstone thing, didn't it? It was all confusing where all these flowers were growing. That'll look right.
What?
I don't know, unless it's my eyes. No, just keep going. No. Something ain't right. Yeah, that one. Not this one. No. Oh, you're being silly now, cat. Come on. Come on. You know what she's after. Eh?
Another treat.
Hi, Patrick. How's it going? I got melted on my game. Something fired acid at me. Hey, you want a treat? Let's get you a treat. Damn sausage.
You mean more like nicking the pieces?
Yeah, you didn't it? Yeah. What? Yeah, it's yours. You get stick. Yeah, it's yours. What are you doing? Nice. Yeah, man, there's loads left. You only have one bit. That's it. All done. Good girl. She'd eat about 100 of them if you give her the chance. She's trying to help with the puzzle. There's a bit of grey with a bit of a plant on it. What are you looking for? Oh, them pieces. Oh, bugger.
And I found that piece too.
What about that bit? There's that bit. I don't know if they're right or not. And that bit. I can't believe how hot it is upstairs. It's cool down here. Fine. Yeah, so I didn't need to take that money out of the bank that much. Oh well, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's still there. It's just freaking. It's not in the bank. It's just cash. There you go.
Run away.
There you go. Love. That's it. Oh, it's a balcony overlooking something. What is it? Leave him alone. That's Dave, the spider. You bully. Yeah, we'll leave him alone. He's on a day out. Look at that putty cat. Thank you. No. Complicated. Oh, you do that. You got patience.
Hey! Little bugger.
What? I'm coughing it for you.
I'm feeling my butt.
Hit your butt. Hit your butt. Oh. How much are you spending Aldi?
34.
Holy shit. What, for them bits?
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap, man.
Mm-hmm.
Orca duck.
That should be all okay. There we go, that corner is undid. don't know, but you know that I'm straight down. Now I'm falling down. I'm gonna try for an uptown night. I bet she's tired of lying close to you. No, down low, she's got a choice. She's been living down low. Straight up, another time, another try. Scratch Master? Yeah, a lot of green and a lot of blue. The sky. But I'm figuring it out slowly, even though my head's not really with it. She's got a choice. How close to us, you personal jealous. It's more of the roses as well that's confusing me a little bit. Baby, you gonna stop? It's gotta be you. Some of the what movie? call it, I'm gonna call it my brain's fried, I think. Right, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'll just see you guys later on. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you later. Lots of love. Bye, everybody.